and location of your emergency.
Breaking news out of North Idaho. Moscow police are investigating a homicide on King Road.
Is she breathing?
No.
So 5'10", all black. Could you see what color his eyebrows were or anything like that?
No, I don't remember what his eyes look like either.
Officers discovered the bodies of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Maddie Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves, but no weapon has been located at this time.
Arrested. That's 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger in custody today.
The Kohberger allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false.
Not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population, mostly college-related occupants.
Everything is alleged. Hey guys, how is everyone doing today? Started a little bit later with the first live than I wanted to, but my fat ass has a reason. And I say that because I woke up this morning and realized that my favorite food truck was on DoorDash. And today is Taco Tuesday, and that's my favorite barbacoa. So you guys had to wait so I could eat me some barbacoa and cilantro and onion tacos, okay? Not ashamed of that. Celebrate Taco Tuesday. It's delicious. Tacos just taste better on Tuesday. I can't explain it. They just do. Okay. So I know I'm probably a few days late discussing this ridiculous ass comment by Alivea Stevenson, I guess whatever you want to call her. Kaylee's sister. Holy shit. The hypocrisy, the irony, all of the things, okay, all of the E's, the completely out of touch, ridiculous shit that Alivea says in this half-ass rant is actually quite insane. It's actually quite insane. The fact that she has the gall. Bro, I love me some breakfast sausages and breakfast biscuits from McDonald's. Oh, I love them. You know, the kids love the chicken ones. Little just chicken patty and a biscuit. They love the hell out of them things. I love that I can see those little gems now. That's cool that I can see those little gems now. We are actually going to be doing all of those things. I am starting this like debunk series. I have one of them already ready to go. I want to get a few of them ready before I actually start releasing them so I can just schedule them, because you guys know I'm always trying to do a damn series to make things make some sense, and then shit happens, then I get lost, and then the series just goes off the rails, okay? And I'm trying to be better. I'm actually like already talking to a doctor about getting me on some damn ADHD meds. I realized yesterday how bad I really need them. I know I talked about it for like a while, but I got up early yesterday. I sat at this computer and I did my work stuff, but then I was also trying to get stuff done here too, like I always do. And I just I could not concentrate. I couldn't focus on one thing long enough to get to the end of the short-term goal to then move on to the next to get to the next short-term goal. And it's just been really bad. So hopefully these series get completed soon, and hopefully the meds work. We'll see what the doctor says. So we'll see what's going on. So this little debunk series is basically me going in and taking my very old videos, because my very first video on this case was November 22nd, 2022. I was following it heavily with everyone else talking about it. We were still talking about Kylie Rodney and a couple other things at that point. And I was really heavy with it over on Facebook and over on Twitter. And it wasn't until the 22nd that we did our first video. I am doing the series where I go in and edit out all of the opinionated type things that I say in the videos, leaving just the facts that we were given from the police. And then basically it's y'all's turn. I'm not putting any facts on the screen. I'm cutting it down, and it's more of a community type project, community type review. So the way that I want to do them is I want to release one week, and then the next week I want to do a live and go over and highlight y'all's comments, y'all's corrections to the information that was wrong. We'll probably do like maybe 1 or 2 a month so that we don't like overdo a bunch of old stuff and we can keep up with the new stuff. But I feel like it's really important, especially since there's a lot of people, especially right now over the next week and a half, that are going to be jumping into this case that maybe have never heard of this case before because of the plethora of documentaries and shows that are coming out. Now, that's also something that I have to incorporate into our schedule, because we want to do these live watch with me's where we are together watching but separately watching. Like, I cannot show it on the screen. You guys can press play at the same time that I press play, and then we react together on a live. The 23rd, this Thursday, is when I believe the AMC Sundancey thing is coming out. I think that's the one. I don't recall how many episodes it is, but I plan on doing it the full day, doing a 5-minute intermission, like my live intro in between each episode, so we can just knock it out and get it done same day. Thursday is a day that we usually do multiple lives or try to do multiple lives because I'm off that day anyway, so that day works out. The Netflix one, of course, they always try to hit a Friday. So the Netflix one's coming out next Friday. Not this Friday coming up, but the next one. I also know that there is the preliminary hearing happening right now in the David and Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. There is only 10 people allowed to walk into that courtroom a day. It is a lottery, and they are basically not guaranteeing that the same person, like, there's nobody basically that's going to be able to get in all 10 days. Now, there might be somebody special that was designated to actually be able to go in all 10 days, and they're just pretending like there's not, and it's all going to be random. But that's basically how it's been ran down. So, yeah, I know there's a lot of drama going on in that case. I watched the documentary and was really disgusted by it, honestly. They focused more, and I know it's probably more about, like, motive, okay? But they focused more on what he had to lose than the fact that she was dead and that he killed her. And again, I know that it's more about motive, but it made it very David. Barely any Celeste. Like at all. And I don't know if that was the point or not. I don't know. But it was all about, he had this record coming out, and he had been signed, and he was on tour, and da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, I get it, but like, this is a little, you're not doing it evenly enough to where I'm comfortable with the way that this story was put out there. I feel like I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And there's also some coroner issues going on with some leaked information that's now causing some problems. So we'll see what happens. I'll probably do a recap after all the preliminary stuff is over, because I'm not going to go fishing for people every single day for the next however many days this goes on with it being so random. I'm going to wait, and we'll do it live once everything is accumulated and finished and done and over with. But for now, yeah, I'm not sure just yet. Is it the Sundance one that is it like 3 episodes? If it's 3 episodes, then we'll probably start it at like 11. I feel like maybe 11 would be a good time. But then again, I don't know. Maybe I should put a, whatchamadoodler up. What you call them? A poll. Maybe I'll put a poll up in the community tab, and then I'll be able to get a better idea of who's going to be able to be there for the live and way of what times that you guys are okay with. Because, and that's another, I'm actually glad we're like talking about the Goncalves right now, because the clips of this Netflix one that's coming out, Alivea's chunky. So how old are the freaking clips from the Netflix series? Because this was had to be a good 2 years ago. Not long after she had the baby. Definitely after she had the baby, because she's not as swollen. But she looks normal. She looks like how she looked before she was pregnant with her. She had the cutest face. Her and Kaylee, all of the girls, Sam too, especially Sam. They all have this cherub cheeked, really freaking adorable shaped face. Alivea just completely, I don't know what she did. I wish she wouldn't have done it. And she's not an ugly girl at all. She's gorgeous. All of the kids are cute. But damn, she took away a lot of the personality of her face. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm just biased to Chuck E. Cheeks. I don't freaking know. I don't know. But this is definitely an older clips. Very much like the Amazon Prime one that came out in 2025 was all recorded in 2023, and they just held it until 2025, because that is exactly what happened. Those clips were old as shit. We all tracked all of that. We found all the proof of that. That was 2023 filming, holding it on for 2 years, which is crazy. I don't know. But I'll put a thing up. I'm pretty sure it's 3 episodes, I think. Let me make sure. I have it written down in a notebook somewhere. Maybe it would help actually. Don't pull a noons, Jules. Grab your notes. Yeah, Sundance, the one that's called A College Town Nightmare. Let me see how many episodes it is. Episode 1 is apparently already out if you have Sundance. Oh, no, wait, hold on. Yeah. This website called Series Schedule says the Idaho Murders of College Town Nightmare Season 1 on Sundance now. Oh, well, maybe they're just saying, like, you can watch it here just in case. Anyway, it's 2 episodes, so how long are they? I'm going to assume they're like an hour long each. But that's what this says. The Idaho Murders, A College Town Nightmare. Series Schedule is the website, and it says two episodes will premiere July 23rd, 2026. So, I don't know, maybe like even later on in the evening, so it's like after people are off work because it is a Thursday. Maybe that's what we'll do because it's later. So it'll be later. Because Thursday, again, is like a work day. Like, I'm off on Thursdays, which is why it, like, the time doesn't matter to me. But I want everyone who wants to be there to be able to be there regardless of work schedule. So we'll put a poll up. I'll do a poll after the live. And we'll get it figured out. Because it's 2 episodes. It's 2 episodes. Okay. Let's talk about this bullshit that she said. Now, I did make them bigger. So I'm going to pop these up on the screen. She just is wild. And again, it's the hypocrisy of them not realizing how ridiculous they sound. Like, there's no freaking way in hell that you think that you got the nerve to call us or say that we need a reality check. I like this better all the way it looks on Canva. I feel like it's bigger. How dare you say that we're the ones that need a reality check when in your comment telling us that we need a reality check, you say the most insane, make no sense bullshit that I think I've ever seen in my entire life, making all the excuses, talking about, oh, the hospitals. I'm sorry. What about the freaking hospitals? What about the freaking hospital's ability to do a damn thing? What does that have to do with Dylan's thought process? Are you trying to sit here and tell me that Dylan sat there and thought about how the hospitals just wouldn't be able to do anything? So there's no point in calling 911. Like, is that the freaking mentality that everyone in Moscow has? Because that's basically what she wants you to believe. Dumbest shit freaking ever, bro. I didn't realize how ridiculous this was. I know that Danny sent me an email and said that Harsh and a couple other people had talked about it. And I went and skimmed through Harsh's video, like red line skim at the bottom, just to see if he posted the comment so that I could just see it without having to go dig. And I didn't see it on there. So I was really just like shocked when I finally read it. I saw it on in a Facebook group that Kat runs. And I was just like, wow, the damn hypocrisy in this is crazy, chick. Like, I don't know. I understand grieving and trauma, but like, this is dumb. This is highly ridiculous. This is highly ridiculous. Let me see if this looks better this way. Hold on a second. Because I want y'all to be able to read it too. If I do full page, will it act dumb? Okay. Ooh, that is a lot better. Look at that. Look at that. Let's see. This is not about a FOIA, so we can take that down. I paid a deposit for a FOIA today. And there's a couple other FOIAs that we need to talk about. I think I'll do a live just to talk about the FOIA stuff. We probably need to start doing a FOIA live like every week since we're going through all these things and trying to figure out what still needs to be filed. We might do that. Okay. Okay, so put my face in the middle, actually, so y'all can see this whole thing. So Alivea posted this on Facebook. It was in a response to, I believe, something that was being said in the Facebook group. And she gave this just like ridiculously long ass response about a bunch of shit that literally don't make no sense. Literally don't make no sense. Oh, did you send them to me? No, yeah, I didn't see them. No, I found these on I can't remember the name of the Facebook page. Okay. We're just gonna go ahead and read it. Okay. So this obviously is about the case, and I guess the delay in the 911 call because of just the main subject of excuses for Dylan and Bethany, which is ridiculous, especially considering the fact that Alivea herself told us back in October of 2025 that up until then they had not spoken to the roommates. All the way through no arrest, all the way through finally getting an arrest, all the way through the court bullshit, all the way through the plea, in the same courtroom at the same time. And Alivea is telling everyone in her interview with Brian Inton as she's sitting in a chair with a white background because she's sitting up against a wall, that as of the time that the plea was over and she herself without her parents went down to speak to the state to get information about what was going on and what actually happened, they had not spoken to the roommates. Alivea has been telling us that they had not spoken to the roommates since the day this shit happened. She told us that she had originally reached out to both of them on social media and both of them left her on red, and nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Steve Goncalves, in the older clips that I'm going in and getting from their interviews, there are interviews where he is asked very specifically about the surviving roommates. And you can see him stuttering, making up all kinds of things to try to go around actually answering the question. He's asked at one point, like, if he talks to them, if they talk to them, and he's like, I'm pretty sure that at some point or another, one of them is talking to someone or some dumb bitch shit like that. He never makes any freaking sense, and they are constantly trying to get sympathy and empathy for shit that's not real. And unless they provide proof that all of a sudden, willy-nilly, 4 years later, Bethany and Dylan are speaking to them, I will not believe it, because for the past 3.5 years, they have told us themselves they have not been able to speak to them. Okay? So the fact that we know that fact, that actual factual fact, okay, then we take into consideration the messages that we have from Steve Goncalves, where he is telling people that the grand jury members did not understand how Dylan had evaded charges, that she made no sense, that her story gave more questions than answers, and he himself was hella suspicious of her. Again, we know that in private, they have a completely different rhetoric when it comes to these people than they do in public, because they don't want to look like the bad guys. So they're going to be out here being dishonest. Private conversations are already out there, Steve. I don't know why y'all keep playing this game, but let's go ahead and see what the hell she actually has to say here. It helped me when I understood Xana and Ethan were also alive during the upstairs attack. And this is where she basically comes up with a narrative that's not proven and not true. Xana was awake, eating, and had access to her phone, and she did not call 911 either. Miss Ma'am. Ethan's phone was on the floor next to Xana, and Xana's phone was on the bed next to Ethan. If this was a multiple perpetrator attack and both rooms were attacked at the same time, this is null and void, because I asked the exact same thing. Why didn't Xana and or Ethan call 911? This is a question and something that we've already realized years ago. Years ago. The fact that you take that as something to give you some sort of excuse to give these, I can't really say both of them. I really feel like Bethany was diverted from going upstairs by Dylan. I think Dylan is the one that everyone needs to be focusing on here. If people could separate the two girls, I think they would realize more about why we have suspicions about things and pay attention to the facts more. But they hear surviving roommate or they hear anything about Dylan and they instantly want to associate both of them. If you could separate the two, I think people would understand better what is actually going on here. She clearly felt something was amiss, or what I assume as she started going up the stairs, but was not alarmed to the level of 1, lock myself in my room and wake Ethan, 2, exit the home, 3, begin video recording, or 4, call authorities. She didn't feel like anything was amiss. If Dylan's story is even true, it's Kaylee that was going upstairs with Murphy and then freaked out because she saw someone upstairs. So again, they're going based off of something that nobody can actually guarantee. The phone guy himself, Cy Ray, with all the literal bullshit he's out here spewing that they want to believe, still cannot tell you when Ethan and Xana were in that house. Now we have the first interview ever by Kaylee McConkey that is now out on Connor's channel. And she is saying that she was being told that they thought Xana was in her room asleep. That's a first. And if she was in her room already and dead, because that's possible too, then maybe Jeff was right. But then again, we have people saying that they were at Sigma Chi at up to 120, but that they didn't know where they were after that. They had no idea. Technically, between 120 and 215, there is like nothing that anybody can really tell us. I mean, I'll have to go back to the timeline to see if there's like anything in between there, but there's really nothing anybody can tell us about where the hell they were. And even at 215, they're not giving us the location. They've already told us that the DoorDash was not ordered inside of 1122 King Road, that the location in which the DoorDash was ordered at 215 was not the house. That's how Hippler can come out and tell us that at 215 Xana wasn't home in that order when the other girls were talking about going to get food at 210, because they have her location away from the house at 215. So if you have her location away from the house at 215, why can't you tell us when she got to the house? Why can't you tell us that? Why is all of that being held secret? You got your dude. And if it doesn't have anything to do with anything, then just release her information. What's the problem? All these stupid questions for what? And again, everything that they're going off of is a narrative that cannot be proven. Bethany never heard Dylan calling out anyone's names. Dylan never called Bethany to tell her there was a guy in the house. Bethany called Dylan. And if Bethany would have never called Dylan because she heard something and saw a light, what would the story have been? What would the story have been that Dylan would have had to have come up with all those hours later? You can't tell me that with all of those messages going back and forth, that Dylan didn't go down to Bethany's room just to like make sure she didn't come upstairs. Make sure she didn't come up and see anything. Everything that we are seeing is nothing but deception. And when somebody can actually come out in here and prove me wrong that Dylan is not being deceptive, then I'll change my mind. But I don't want somebody who works construction or is a pharmacist to come out here and tell me what her body language is saying. Give me a professional. Somebody who does this for a living that's unbiased. Sit down and listen to the tones in her voice. Listen to the way that she answers things. Don't y'all realize that's the reason why they won't release the actual video of the interviews? Because we're going to be able to see on her face that she's full of shit. That's why the grand jury members had issues with Dylan, because they could see her face, watch her eyes, listen to her tone even better because they're getting the full picture. There's a reason why they didn't want her on the stand. Everything about Dylan is suspicious as shit. And they know that. They've already been suspicious of her for how long? The fact they act like this is so crazy. Something was wrong. We all know that now. And in the moment, it's clear members of the household all felt that, but none of them knew the extent in the moment. This is so pathetic. Even if you want to try to give Dylan some grace, which is pathetic, sit back, Alivea, and listen to the words coming out that demented child's mouth, okay? She sits there and tells you that she hears screaming, that she hears crying, that she hears a male voice that she doesn't know, and it's got a weird tone to it that's giving her basically like chills in the back of her neck, okay? Then she sees the guy, and he's in all black. And then she walks past Xana's room, which is the same direction that the screaming and the crying and the scary-ass man voice was coming from. And she sees Xana on the floor, spread eagle in her freaking underwear and a shirt. She sits there long enough to know that 8 hours later, Xana hasn't moved a hair. Because, you know, her drunk little memory lets her remember certain things, right? Bullshit. So at the very least, Xana could have just been raped assaulted. She didn't know that Ethan was in that room. She witnesses all of these things, according to her, and doesn't do shit. She doesn't get downstairs and tell Bethany that Xana's on the floor. And she can't sit there and later say, oh, I just thought she was sleeping because, when you're drunk, the floor just feels fine. Because her original story, when she's still in her freaking bedroom, is that she was calling out Xana's name because Xana needed to be awake and alert and understanding of what was going on because she didn't understand what was going on. Those are Dylan's own words. So how can you sit here and take up for these, especially Dylan over everything. Dylan over everything. When you know the lies. You're not intoxicated, drunk, and able to regurgitate the entire story 25 times in a row to everybody that'll listen to you in a 12-hour period. And then 4 days later being like, oh my God, I guess I was obviously just too intoxicated to remember. I mean, I think I know, but I really don't know if it's true or not. The game's being played here, bro. If this was a man and this was a murder of a spouse and he was sitting there saying all the dumb bitch shit that Dylan is saying, y'all would have crucified him like Scott Peterson. Prove me wrong. But because she's a pretty little blonde girl, oh, she's a victim. She didn't do anything. The blinds, bro. The horse blinders on these people. It's gross. Oh my God, it's so gross. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships, Kay Schmidt. Congratulations to those who got those. That's very nice. Thank you so much for doing that. I love when y'all are nice to each other. That's so nice. That's so nice. Don't forget, we do have our members only live coming up on Monday the 27th. 27th? Oh my God. I was wrong as shit. Okay, so Friday's the 24th. Saturday's the 25th. Sunday's the 26th. Monday's the 27th. Tuesday's the 28th. I have Friday the 29th and just didn't even write down Wednesday and Thursday. Like the damn days of the week didn't even exist. So the 29th, when the Netflix series come out, is a Wednesday. Well, that changes things a bit. And I won't be able to go live until after 3 o'clock on Wednesday. So that does change things a bit. I had the days wrong. That's my bad. I'm glad I looked over. Okay. Okay. I'm sure once the house was quiet, it was actually comforting to the roommates until it no longer was comforting and instead alarming. That's weird. Yeah, it's so comforting to hear screaming, crying, running, some weird ass dude saying, it's okay, I'm here to help you. And then it just gets quiet. And that's comforting? But we're the ones who need a reality check. No, ma'am. You will never, ever, ever convince me that I'm wrong. Whenever this is how you're trying to come at me, I'm sorry. Not just me, not me personally, but everybody in general, just for the record, because the time span it took for the silence to go from comfort to alarm happened to be 8 hours. I also constantly remind myself, even if this is so stupid right here. Oh my God. This is where someone needs to slap the reality in her face, actually. Okay. This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. The fact that you're going to make excuses based off, oh, well, if the hospitals even were called, there's nothing they could do. You freaking weirdo. I also constantly remind myself, even if either would have called 911 immediately upon being together, it would have not have made a difference for Xana, Ethan, Maddie, or Kaylee. How do you know that, you dumb witch? Y'all have been lied to this entire time about how fast it was. Your mother was just out here doing interview after interview after interview, talking about how they are upset because they read in the freaking medical examiner's report that it wasn't fast and it wasn't quick and there was high intense pain and suffering. Did you forget that? Because we all read it. Did you miss the memo, baby? Because that's a crazy ass comment to make, especially knowing that your sister moved after the attack was done. Now, somebody could have posed her body. I know that that's a big thing that a lot of people are thinking. The defense expert thinks that, and it's very possible. But it's also possible because human bodies are insane and people have suffered worse than Kaylee and still survived. That she was still alive. And that's why her freaking head was not on that pillow. And that's why she was cuddled up next to Maddie, because she had just enough strength. So to say this Knowing the facts is so tone deaf, it's disgusting. Are y'all really willing to try to protect your little WSU lawsuit this much to make lies about the fact that your sister maybe actually was maybe alive a little bit? Maybe, just maybe so. Maybe more than just Kaylee. Who knows? No one bothered to call the cops. And it wasn't just that no one bothered to call the cops. No one bothered to call anyone when they're known for calling people for little bitty nothingness. See, that's the problem, Alivea. These are little cry wolf babies. Both of them are cry wolf babies. Their friends have come out and called them cry wolf babies in their own way on national TV in the Prime series. So the one time there's some real serious shit going on and it's not just a little pan falling in the kitchen, they don't call anybody, and that's when y'all are okay with it. They do something completely out of their normal behavior pattern, and y'all are just shelving it like unknown DNA. That's crazy. That's super crazy. They had almost likely passed before he ever even turned his car on to leave. Even if they had not, this is where I want to hit her. Sorry, not sorry. This is pathetic. Moscow hospitals were not and are not equipped to handle that level of trauma. The simple fact is, even if the attack had happened in an operating room with an entire team of surgeons ready to step in as soon as he stepped out, it more than likely would have still ended the same. But we're the ones who need a reality check. You come up with the most ridiculous, make no sense little freaking metaphors and examples that you think are going to hit somewhere, and they're complete misses. What? What? You sound crazy. You sound absolutely crazy. The wounds inflicted were fatal, inflicted on major veins and arteries, lungs, heart, even brain injuries. Some penetrating wounds were simply not survivable. That's cool. The medical examiner's report said it wasn't quick. It wasn't fast. There was severe pain. There was severe suffering on all the girls except for Ethan. Ethan was the only one that went quickly. He is the only one that she claims was taken out fast. As for the 3 girls, nah, not at all. You saw how fast the cops got there after 911 was called. Why are we playing these games? This is greed. Because if they finally start coming out and being honest about how they talk behind closed doors, they're going to lose their ability to sue. This is disgusting. This is so stupid. Because the hospitals couldn't handle it. There would have been no point in calling 911 anyway. You're so dumb. You are so dumb. Regarding the investigation starting earlier, yes, it would have been faster, and let's assume they caught him before he ever returned home. It would have ended the same. No, it wouldn't have ended the same. Because if the cops would have been called automatically, somebody would have seen something faster. And if Kohberger was the guy, they were able to actually get him within a day or two because the cops were called and they got to work on stuff faster. What? No, it wouldn't have been the same. Maybe there wouldn't have been all this crazy shit. If the story goes the way the story goes, there wouldn't have been all this crazy shit. Or the story might have actually ended the way that it should have actually ended, which isn't like this. Which isn't with the guy that pled guilty to shit that makes no sense, that wanted an Alford plea, that there's no details for, that none of the evidence actually points to. Maybe it wouldn't have ended like that, Alivea. Maybe there wouldn't have been time to clean up a trail in between the 2 crime scenes. Maybe there wouldn't have been the whole 8-hour delay to where there could have literally had anything and everything happen, and nobody knows because the cameras don't point towards the front door. And everybody that they know pretty much is within walking distance. Plus, there's other parking spaces around that entire area where people can park and just walk up to the house and never even be on camera. And that can go for both the killers and the people that are there to clean up things and everything else. It's true. That camera angle that we have doesn't do a damn thing. It's not pointed at the house. You can barely even hear behind it. Barely hear behind it. But we are the ones. We are the ones that need a reality check. That's freaking... 4 gone and 1 monster. The same one. Sentenced to die in prison. You don't know if that's how it would go. You have no freaking idea. No clue. In the best case, it would have ended some of the conspiracies before they started, and I do agree there is so much value in that. But that is not how it went, and blaming victims should never be the price to pay for a game of but what if. Blaming victims? Ma'am, have you read the reports? Have you listened to the interviews? Have you looked at the communication logs? Probably not, because y'all don't seem to like reading records or like anything. People would have attacked them immediately, calling 911 too. This is where she's so pathetic. People would have attacked them immediately, calling 911 too. They would have said, what made them immediately jump to murder over some bumps in the night? What kind of people jumped to that? Must have been a shady home, etc. Nobody would have said a damn thing about them immediately calling the cops, you crack-headed ass woman. See how she thinks that we are the problem, but then she says stupid shit like that? No, if they would have called someone, even if it wasn't the cops, okay, even if they weren't sure what was going on right then and there, and they would have called the same exact people over, if they would have called Emily over and Hunter would have came in quick, honestly, there probably wouldn't be so much shade around that entire thing. But when you delay it for 8 hours and nothing that you said stays copacetic the same, when the dude that comes over changes his clothes and the knife is on the floor and he's telling a story about that doesn't make any freaking sense, what? No. Even if they would have called them over because they weren't sure if they needed to call the cops, we know there's a history of people being in that house that the girls didn't want in that house. The Delts. So who would come and deal with the Delts that weren't allowed in the house? The other Delt. Johnson. So them calling Hunter Johnson to come and maybe get a drunk Delt that's walking through the house out the house, and instead he stumbles upon Xana dead on the floor. Holy shit, now there's Ethan. Oh my God, no. Where's Kaylee and Maddie? That's how that would have gone. And that would have been a 4 o'clock in the morning freaking call, and the cops showing up in the entire freaking neighborhood being woken up by sirens, by lights. It would have been everywhere. It would have been dark. It would have been immediate. No one would have talked shit. Because that's the actual pattern of behavior that people are used to from Dylan and Bethany, is them constantly calling because they're scared of sounds and they don't know what to do. And Bethany admits herself that she heard a scream in the middle of the night, less than a week before the crimes took place, and she called somebody to come and pick her up and take her out of that house. And she claimed at that point, she only called Maddie to see what was going on. And Maddie didn't answer. So she called someone else. She didn't say who, and they came and picked her up and took her out of there. Emily and Josie both said Dylan calls people for every little noise. Oh my God, I heard something in the kitchen. Can you send your boyfriend over to come check it out? Is literally a constant for her. No, ma'am. Pay attention to facts and get your head out of your Ozempic-ridden ass. If they would have called 911 immediately, if they would have called Emily and Hunter immediately, no, ma'am, we would not be here right now. No, ma'am, we would not. The dumb shit. Bored humans. Oh, trust me, baby. I wish I didn't have so much to do. I'm far from bored. Far from bored. Bored humans who can't accept reality and instead spin tall tales to satisfy their own imagination. Have you read what you wrote? Have you read what you wrote? Ma'am, would be better off writing children's mystery books. Is that a jab at Stacey Chapin, who wrote a children's book about her son? It might not be a mystery book, but his death sure is. So that's really crazy you put that in there. The disassociation from real pain and horror from entertainment is so alarming, and I'll never stop talking about how the true crime community needs a massive reality check as I sit here and make up the most ridiculous shit ever and lie to the public about what we really think about Dylan and Bethany. We already have the messages. Lie somewhere else. Lie somewhere else. I'm so tired of it. I don't understand how they can sit here and think. And I know there's people out there that are crazy as shit, okay? I know there's people out there that don't really care about the facts. They go on the channels that only want to do a bunch of drama talk, and then they share that all over the place, and everything gets all screwed up and all over the place, okay? I understand that there's a group of people like that. But this community and so many other channels communities that really try to go based off of documents, medical records, forensic records, autopsy reports, trying to get down to the facts, I think there's more of us than the crazies. So the fact that she thinks that she can just say the most ridiculous shit and think that we're not going to say anything is crazy. How are you going to come up with the most fantastical scenarios and then act like we're the people in the wrong, that we're the ones who need the reality check? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Your husband needs to sit you down, maybe send you off somewhere for a couple of weeks, not like a mental hospital or anything, but you obviously need a break. And all those kids you've got, you probably do. I get it. I'm a mom. I've got 3. I know it's crazy. All right. Your husband needs to send you off to a resort or some shit with no social media, no phone, drink all the little mimosas that you want, have all the little snacky snacks, sit at the beach, and really think about the crazy shit going on in your life right now. I promise you'll come back a different person. We aren't your enemy. Alivea, Steve, Christy, we are not y'all's enemy. We are bothered by the fact that the actual factual evidence is coming out. And y'all have been the loudest ones about truth, about transparency, about the information coming out. Release the records, release the evidence. What's the problem? But now that we are here, y'all are the first and the loudest to want to seal it up. You're the first and the loudest to shame people that read the documents, that look over the forensic records. How dare you? How dare you? While also still lying. Lying about things that you know are incorrect because the records are now out. Sitting there admitting in a drunken stupor that you had your ex-IT people dig up all this information that's bullshit because it's not real, or it would have been in evidence. The state would have found it their own way and there's nothing there. You talk about how this person is holding ransom this information for $10,000 and how you just know that something bad's going to happen to Kohberger in jail. Like, y'all are just out here constantly doing the most. And then have the audacity to say something to us. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. That is so crazy. I don't even understand the rhetoric here. I don't. I really don't. Alivea needs a reality check. Alivea needs a reality check. She really does. But I guess that's it for now. I'm going to be live again probably around maybe 2:45. We're going to go over one of the interviews that Connor has released. So far, he's released like 4 over the past few days. And I want to do them in order, even though honestly, when I've gone through and skimmed through them, I have no idea what the Tim DeWolf one says. But when I've skimmed through the Kaylee McConkey one, that's the one that's really interesting because she's the one that says somebody told her something about Xana being asleep in the room already. And she's the first person to say that. So I think the one we're going to go over today is the Caleb Jacobson interview. The first section is only like 4 minutes and some change, and the other part is like 37 minutes. So I'm just going to go ahead and put them together because the first one really isn't anything at all. But I also don't want to just like skip over it. So I'm going to put them together, and I'll put that out probably like a good 30, 45 minutes before live time. So yeah, I think probably like 2. Yeah, I'll give it like 2 hours. We'll do 2:45. We'll probably be live for maybe an hour, hour and a half. And then I want to go live tonight at probably somewhere between 8:15, 8:45, just depending on what time the second live is over, so that we can finish the second portion of our Cy-Ray interview review. We went like 5.5 hours, 5 hours, 40 minutes, and only got an hour and 45 minutes into that interview because there's a lot to talk about. There's so much to talk about. And again, that also goes to the hypocrisy of the Goncalveses. Because see, like over here, we're questioning shit that everyone is saying. I don't care if you're a defense expert. I don't care who you think you are. If you're out here saying some crazy shit and we can prove that it's not true, we're going to call you out about it. It doesn't matter what side you're on. The Goncalveses are taking what Turvey said and what Cy-Ray said and talking shit about Turvey, and Alivea is doing videos talking about how she has some proof of some bullshit. I don't even know what the hell she was talking about, but then takes the stuff that Cy-Ray says and they want to glorify him and put him on a pedestal. But they were both defense experts and they both saw the exact same stuff, apparently. Because both of them are out here talking out of turn, technically. They're both talking about things that are outside of their expertise wheelhouse. But the fact that they're going to take that and then also misconstrue what Cyree said and then throw it up there and then talk shit about us is crazy. That's so cray-cray. There's also an interview I noticed that Steve, I think it's Steve and Christy, they did on this channel called The Strangers something. Strangers Conversation. I don't freaking know. I have a screenshot of it in my phone so I can remember to go in and get a recording of it and see what he has to say in case he's saying something else cray-cray. But I'd never heard of this channel before. It's like I'd never heard of murder. They're going around all these little bitty channels that have no reach, nothing behind them, and just, it's very strange. Because how are you getting your word out about this foundation if you're going to channels that have like a 200 person reach? Like, that's kind of wild. You know, that's kind of crazy. But I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much for the gifted membership, Kat. Her Facebook group, can you put the name of your Facebook group in the chat? Her Facebook group is where I found the screenshots of Olivia's full ass post. I don't remember who posted it in there, but I do appreciate them putting it in there because I didn't know where to see all of it. Yeah, but see, Turvey's also said stuff that wasn't accurate either because we've got proof that it's not accurate. I just find it really crazy to me that both of them are claiming to have seen the crime scene photos of the way that Ethan was and pictures of his hand. Chris Whitcomb is also claiming to have seen pictures of the crime scene of Ethan, the way he was on the bed, and of his hand. Both of them have the same story about it being his hand that's out with like a hair in it, and that's where his hand trailed in, and that's like a path that, like, you know, connects to what we see on the bed frame and the wall. Cyree is the only one saying that it's not. And see, all we can do is complain at this point. All we can do is complain that they're both giving us two different stories while looking at the exact same set of evidence, and we can't prove who's wrong because we haven't seen it. All that we can say is pathetic. It's very pathetic. It's very beyond freaking pathetic. It's what makes me so damn pissed that we've gotten to this point where people are now here talking, and we've got two people from the exact same side saying two completely different things. How is any of that okay? How is any of that fair to the victims? How is any of that just fair in general? How are we supposed to even consider either one of them credible with the way that they're both doing things? All we know is that there are reports that claim there is hair in Ethan's hand. That's the farthest that we can go. The hair is true. So regardless of what the damn Goncalveses want to say about who or what or whatever, there is hair in Ethan's hand. That was never DNA tested. Physical traits of hair don't mean shit. Everybody has 1.5 million people that have the same kind of hair as they do. Same shade, same coarseness. It doesn't matter. But lots of people match when it comes to that. You have to do an actual DNA test on it. So Cyree is saying there's hair. He's not saying that it's a big, huge, chunky chunk of hair, but he's still saying it's hair. Are the Goncalveses going to care now? Or they only care about the stuff that matters to them in way of the bullshit he's saying about Kohberger with no proof? You know? What did Ann Taylor do? So I saw the email that you sent me, but it doesn't say that they were blocked from seeing Kohberger. I think that this is where Christy's kind of like talking out of her ass, okay? So he sent me a comment that the Goncalveses posted back to a bigger comment, and it just says, "We can't visit him in prison. His attorneys will not allow it." There's a protective order. They can't visit him in prison. There's a protective order. So I don't know if Ann Taylor is actually like blocking them from going in and actually visiting him, but I promise you they haven't tried. There is no way in hell that they have tried to get permission. I would love to see the log where they actually tried. That's my point with this. Like, I don't trust what they're saying. They're full of shit 99.9% of the time. I feel like they've never tried and they're just saying that to say that. That's how I feel about that. And I could be wrong. It could be exactly what a lot of people think it is. It could have been that Ann Taylor literally blocked them from going in, but there's protective orders. There can't be contact. So even if they were to show up to the jail, Kohberger's not going to go to the freaking window and talk to them. He doesn't talk to anybody but his family. I really doubt they tried. I feel like she's full of shit. That's they love to lie. I feel like, because they're, after everything they've told us themselves, there's been comments where they've been asked if they talked to Dylan and Bethany, or if they still talk to Dylan and Bethany, and Christy will be like, we sure do, with a heart and some bullshit. No, you don't. Provide the messages. Show me, baby. Because according to y'all haven't spoken to them all the way past the plea. Not a damn utterance of anything. They like to lie. See, a lot of people question that. I have like a cat hair or something right here. It's getting on my damn nerves. A lot of people question that. And I don't know. Steve said something in an interview from a long time ago about Steve Jr. going to school there. But that's a really good question. I don't know. That's something that maybe actually should be looked at a little bit more. And hear me out. And again, this is my opinion, and my opinion only. Nobody can sue me for it. Oh, Leatherface over there probably getting all happy about it. No, ma'am, you cannot. This is my opinion. Everything with Chronicles of Alivea is creepy. Okay? I feel like Steve being at an urgent care that morning for something that is triggered by stress, and according to Christy, it's the first time in their entire 25, almost 30-year relationship that he's ever been sick and had to go to urgent care. And it happens to be that exact same morning. In the early morning hours, that exact same morning. Then they get information from blood relatives and other people in the area that something happened, and they don't go to Moscow. They never leave the house. You also don't hear of anyone trying to contact Steve Jr. about what happened to Kaylee. All of the stories are the two minors that were in the house at the time were getting a bunch of like face calls, Snapchat calls, Facebook calls, regular phone calls. They never mentioned Steve Jr. getting a vandal alert, getting calls saying, hey, oh my God, there's cops at your sister's house. None of that. None of that. Then they bring in the most notorious YouTuber at the time that was talking about the case, that had the biggest following at the time that was talking about the case, boots on the ground wise. Somehow they were able to convince her to fall in love with Steve Jr., stop doing true crime technically, and delete every single video from her TikTok page that had to do with the crime. From before and after Kohberger was arrested. Now, luckily, because I didn't have them, but luckily there are channels out there that have them all. They've recorded everything. Alivea had millions of views on each and every video that she posted about the case. And now that she's Kaylee Goncalves, isn't that all just a bit freaking weird to y'all? I find it all very strange. And I don't understand where the disconnect is between Kaylee and Steve Jr. Unless that was a relationship that was truly strained and they weren't close at all and they just didn't talk. Because no one ever mentions Steve Jr. No one ever mentions him. None of the interviews talk about Kaylee and her brother. Nobody mentions him. It's all very strange. All very strange. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't believe that. I really don't believe that they just don't talk about it. I really don't. Like, she still has a couple of things on her YouTube page that I've gone in and recorded all of it. But it's just like the documentary interview that she did on the 28th of December, 2 days before the arrest, but she posted it after. And she has like little videos of her being at the scene, and then after Kohberger's arrest at his apartment, a conversation she had with one of his neighbors, and a conversation she had on the phone with somebody claiming to have been an old friend of his or somebody that knew him a long time ago. Only stuff about Kohberger is left on her YouTube channel. And you know damn well there was so much more. So much more. So the girl that Kaylee was apparently following, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if Kaylee was following Alivea. Let me put it this way. I don't know if Kaylee was following Alivea before she died. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I don't know if Kaylee was actually following Alivea before she died. I don't know the date that Kaylee started following Alivea. I would really like to see that metadata, you know, because just because she showed up on a follow list after she died does not mean she was following her before she died. This whole thing is just very strange. And the way that they seem to orchestrate every little thing that they do, this being a long game move wouldn't shock me. This whole thing is very weird. It feels very arranged. I'll put it that way. Yeah, she never went over there. And it's still crazy because even if Kaylee had only been in there for like a few months, when she moved in there over the summer in Xana's old room and was rooming with a girl in that room before then moving upstairs because Ashlyn Couch moves out of the third floor. And so Kaylee goes up to the third floor. So she was like there through the summer, some parts of the summer, and then moved up to the third floor. But Maddie lived there for like 2 years, and Kaylee lived in the, like, I think in the Whites, right? Like right in front of her. Because it's like the King Road house, the Whites, and then Jack already lived at 1127. So when she was at the Whites, she wasn't supposed to have Murphy. So even though Jack didn't want Murphy, and we know that from his own damn face, okay, he still would keep Murphy with him sometimes at 1127 because they had different rules than the Whites did for pets. I just don't see how Kaylee could live in the Whites before that. And then Maddie lived in that house for like 2 years practically. And like, y'all never saw it? Y'all never witnessed it? I don't know. But I've also, you know, maybe I should put it this way, because just because somebody said it doesn't make it true. I was told before that Jeff Kernodle and Steve Goncalves had seen each other in passing before as they were visiting during certain times at the 1122 house. But I can't verify that statement. I can't verify that statement. So I don't know if they knew each other before this or not, but I know that Jack knew Jasmine because he worked with her before, and then he knew Xana because she was at parties and stuff all the time when Kaylee was still in high school, and Jack would go to pick up Kaylee or whatever with these parties. I didn't know. I had no idea that Jack and Kaylee knew Xana and Jazzy from before going to college. I had no clue. That was very new information to me. Very new. So I don't know. All very strange. It's all very strange. Yeah. To lie about sleeping when you're really not is a problem. Yeah. Yeah, they never talk about anything. And he was like an active student there. And then there was like, because you know, he walked the stage for Kaylee's certificate, like her degree. And they make a statement like it was supposed to be like his graduation, but he went ahead and walked for Kaylee and put his own stuff aside, which is fine. You know, you're being a brother, you're doing what you got to do. But I guess that does verify really that Kaylee was like accelerating and graduating early if she was set to graduate at the same time, technically, as her older brother. But yeah, there's just like nothing. Just nothing. Just nothing at all. I don't even know. I mean, you mean Central Time? Because when I tell you I'm hours and hours away from Kerrville, it's not even funny. But yes, you will see me Central Time. I just don't know what time yet. Yeah. Yeah, the 12/28/22 interview we're going to watch tomorrow for the Way Back Wednesday episodes. And there's definitely things that are said about I told one of the other parents, look, if it's something that your daughter's involved in, like, it's not going to be anything we put against each other. We just need to know what's going on. And then there's also comments about how law enforcement was also trying to pit the parents against each other. But I don't know, like, how much against each other they really were. Because in the messages that Steve Goncalves had between the Brett Norton TikToker chick and him, he was talking to the Chapins. He references them and speaking with them and getting answers to them and asking them certain things like quite a few times in those message threads. So there's that. So I don't know. But it's interesting to me that the two most ridiculously shady families were speaking to each other so early on. And there's even like the picture of the two people and the girl walking into the Linda Lane Apartments that looks like it could be Ethan and Pete. Brett Norton sent him that screenshot in the summer of 2025. And no, in the summer of 2023, and said, does this guy look familiar or anything like that? It looks like it could be Ethan. And, or it looks like they, trying to recognize who they were. I don't think she mentioned it looking like Ethan, but trying to recognize like who they were. And he said he sent the screenshot off to Stacy and Jim, and they said they didn't recognize who the person was. We look at that person and we think, holy shit, that could be Ethan. So I'm like, did they think that it was him and they don't want to answer truthfully that they think that it was him because it puts him away from the Sigma Chi party that everyone thought he was at? Or do they really think it wasn't him? And if they really think it wasn't him, maybe they know better because they're his parents. But damn, if that dude don't look like him. Curly, poofy hair, mustachioed upper lip, same taller than Peter. The guy next to him that looks like Peter got the same shaped old potato head. Like, come on. I don't know if it is or not, but damn, doppelganger much? Doppelgangers exist, but it's really crazy to have two doppelgangers that are best friends and walking around together the same way that Ethan and Peter do, and they at the same university campus. Like, that's 1 in a million quadrillion. Octillion, whatever you want to freaking call it. Okay, that's crazy. So I don't know. There's just so much. There's just so much. Yeah, I feel like it was Ethan and Peter. And I mean, I'm not trying to say that to be like rude, which I know it comes off rude because I'm calling him a potato head, but he has a certain shaped cranial area, And you see it's very noticeable in his photos. And when you look at the guy next to the guy that looks like Ethan, his head is the same shape. That's just the first thing that comes to my mind. So I don't know. It's very strange that the two that have the most talking to do, the two that are trying to conceal the most truths by the Goncalves is lying and Chapin's just not saying shit and just wanting to erase Ethan out of the story altogether. Both sides are just as shady. One is trying to erase literally everything, and the other one is trying to throw a whole narrative in your face and just causing more issues. And going back to Olivia's comment about, oh, if they would have called 911 and instantly went to murder, you ought to thought that the house was shady. Herself big and pregnant in a turtleneck came out here 18,000 times in the first week of this damn case and told us that that house was considered a party house. What do you think comes with that term being used, Olivia? Like, it seemed that they forget. They forget that they're the ones who started the majority of the bullshit. They take no responsibility, no accountability. We're the bad guys for questioning it and trying to figure out what's real and what isn't, like Dylan, trying to wade through all the lies. And they're just constantly dumping it in, dumping it in, dumping it in. We're never going to get through it if they don't shut up. But I think that's what they want. Because why else are they out here being ridiculous? Shameful. Super, yeah, bro. But people hold that against me all the time. They act like I'm this horrible bitch because I made a statement before about how the Chapins were ashamed of Ethan. That's not me saying anything bad about Ethan. That's me taking the way that they are talking about him, coming out and being dishonest about everything, trying to erase him from reality. I take that with the truth that we have now, with the way that they say, we're not going to let this ruin us. Yeah, you mean the things that are about Adderall and all these other things that are very normal for college that don't make Ethan look bad whatsoever. It makes him look like a normal college person. All of those things you're not going to let ruin you. They came out and told everyone there's no drug situation. There's no weird love triangle within like 2 days because they wanted to make sure they told Ethan's story, a story they didn't even know the truth about. A story they didn't want us to know because it puts a little bit of tarnish. Who cares? Who cares? The truth needs to be told regardless of what it makes the people that are left to pick up the pieces look like. That's why I don't care. I'll say whatever the hell I want to the Goncalveses because they do shit like still disrespect Kaylee's wishes by calling Jack Decor her boyfriend. She was literally trying to hook back up with Mason Barstow 12 hours before she was murdered at the White's party. But Jack was her boyfriend? They can't even respect her wishes in her death. And I'm supposed to have respect for those people, the people that called her a brat for not wanting to be with Jack, the ones that sit there and tell horrible stories about Kaylee, laughing and giggling that they think they're sharing memories, but all they're doing is talking shit about their child. But don't talk about Jack. Christy will lose her ever-loving ass mind if you talk about Jack. Don't talk about Jackie boy. Hell no. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing the way I'm doing it. Thank you. I'm going to keep doing it the way I'm doing it, the way I'm doing it. Okay. I'm going to get off of here before I keep running my mouth into 3 o'clock and then we don't get on our live later. It is now 1 p.m. So I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here. Thank you again for coming in here and listening to me rant about the bullshit. We have been here too long and going through too many facts to be told by somebody who won't even bother to read documents or pay attention to what's going on without being hypocritical that we are the ones who need a reality check. You're not going to come in here and say the most ridiculous shit ever about the delay in the 911 call and everything else and act like we're the bad guys. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You guys have a great rest of your day. I will see you guys in just a few hours. Let me make sure I've got the right outro majigger on here. All Idaho. Okay, here we go. Okay. See y'all.